All right, so I had Prozac. Its typical name though is fluoxetine, and so that's what it's going to be referred to throughout most of the presentation. Its chemical formula is C17H18F3NO. It has a molecular mass of 309.33 grams per mole. Its common names are Prozac, Adafen, and Serafen. These are typically what they're going to be called when your doctor prescribes them to you, but they are fluoxetine. It has a really nice IUPAC name, and then there's the molecule up there. It's a 3D kind of twisted convoluted molecule that has various things, and its longest carbon chain is actually like 4. I thought that was really cool. So uses in history, it's commonly used as a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which is, this happy juice, makes you happy when you're sad. It's typically treating depression, anxiety, but it can also treat obsessive compulsive disorder, bulimia, anorexia, paranoia, and other things like that. It's just commonly nowadays for depression, anxiety. It was one of the first chemicals actually recorded in medical literature to be used to treat depression, and this was about 1965, 1975, somewhere in that area, and that's when they first used prescription medicine. Until that point, we all know, 60s and 70s, it wasn't medicine. It's derived from the sphenoxyphenylpropanamines, which are norepinephrine inhibitors, but it's altered to be an SSRI, and that's actually a really complicated process that I'm going to talk about later, how it got from the base to where it was. Oh, this is really dark, sorry. Pharmacodynamics and the pharmacokinetics. I have the definitions up there because I thought we needed them. So pharmacodynamics is the branch of pharmacology concerned with the effects of drugs and the mechanism of their actions. And pharmacokinetics is the study of how they move throughout the body. It's part of a chemical series, like I mentioned earlier, that inhibits monoamines, such as epinephrine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. However, fluoxetine specializes in blocking serotonin reuptake. Sorry, guys. Prozac and other medications containing fluoxetine are typically taken orally, and they diffuse quite quickly throughout the body because they're bound very tightly with proteins that bond with the proteins in your blood and muscles, and so they diffuse even quicker. Structured fluoxetine is a suitable substitute to block the reuptake of serotonin. I don't know how many of y'all took AP Psych, but we kind of learned about how the serotonin reuptake places are kind of a gate and key kind of thing, lock and key. And so the structure of the fluoxetine is actually really similar to that, and so it fits right in. It works actually really well compared to most other drugs that are used. And then it does allow other things through, which other medications might not. It allows the epinephrine and norepinephrine through, but it doesn't allow the serotonin, much like the other chemical members of its family, whereas other depression and anxiety drugs won't let anything through. They just kind of block it off completely. It's synthesized by adding together 6 various intermediates, which are other compounds that are hydrolyzed to form what's generically called fluoxetine. Basically, it takes these 2 compounds that are completely unrelated, it mixes them together. They form a byproduct, and it's actually a carbonate. It's some form of a carbonate or something. And they hydrolyze that, they mix that with another compound, they let that go. They hydrolyze that again, and then they add another ingredient, and the byproduct is the fluoxetine. So it's a really complicated process, and it sounds long, but they've been doing it for almost 40 years now, I think it's over 40 years now. And so they've gotten it up to speed, it's cost efficient, and they kind of know what they're doing.